Hello, all you approposers out there. This week we're talking about how your method of speech affects the way other people see you. I think this is a really interesting subject and one you don't really hear discussed all that often. You hear a lot about things like judging other people's appearances, but you don't really hear a lot about judging the way they speak. Now, you guys have all heard my sad story last week about my speech impediment and all of the woe it has caused me over the years, so I won't go into that again. It seems like mostly what we're talking about this week is accents, different types of accents, what kind of accents we possess or don't possess, and how they might affect how other people view us. Now, as far as what kind of accent I have, I'm not really sure. I grew up in Dallas, and so I guess like Christian, I didn't really have a whole lot of strong Texas influence on my accent. However, unlike Christian, both my parents are from Texas, so I guess I just didn't really pick it up from them. I do now live somewhere with a pretty pronounced regional accent, which is interesting. When people find out that I'm from Texas, they usually seem sort of disappointed and say that I don't sound like I'm from Texas. I could probably try to do a Texas accent, but it would be really, really horrible and probably insulting, so I don't think I'll do that. In fact, if I wasn't self-conscious and didn't have as much of an idea of what would be embarrassing and or inappropriate, I could probably do all kinds of accent imitations for you guys, but I'm not going to try and do that. Now, one of the issues as to how accents can affect the way people see you is people who have very distinctive accents that come from certain regions of our world, say like the Deep South, for example, because that seems to be what we're talking about. All kinds of ideas that people from outside of the South hold about the Southern region, that if you possess a very strong accent, people would automatically start putting those stereotypes onto you, which are usually all negative. I've heard that they've done surveys around the world and that Europeans, particularly British, find people with American accents to be less intelligent. I'm not quite sure how they do these tests, but those are the results that they've come out with, which is sort of sad. I'm not sure if that's because Americans sound unintelligent or if it's because there are all kinds of stereotypes about Americans being unintelligent, and when people hear an American accent, they automatically start heaping those stereotypes onto that person. I've also heard that Australians find American accents to be sexy, like we sound like the movies and that's cool somehow, which I could probably be more comfortable with. I've always thought it would be interesting to live in another country that spoke English but had a radically different accent, like Australia or New Zealand or somewhere, and just be sort of a unique novelty everywhere I go. But that would probably get sort of old. Another interesting study I've heard about regional accents is that they're actually getting stronger, which is sort of counterintuitive because we have television and movies and things where all of the actors and politicians and people have the same general American accents, but I think that's something that's interesting. I'm always interested in studies that come out and the result is completely counterintuitive. I don't know, maybe that's just because I'm a nerd, but I sort of get a kick out of that. As an interesting postscript, someone the other day actually told me that I sounded like I was from Rhode Island, which is really kind of random, and I don't think I sound like Peter Griffin, which is what I think about when I think of Rhode Island accents. But anyway, John, fellow Texan, I'm interested to hear what you have to say about this tomorrow, and I will see you all next week.